Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this evening's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And this evening, Zoe Davenport, one of the dearest people to me on this earth plane, um, is with us this evening, talking about 0 point stillness to align, integrate, and activate next level embodiment. And I really hope that you guys hang out here because there's so much that is coming through. I've witnessed Zoe in an embodiment phase right now, in different phases of what I've seen. And what's emerging through her is just so beautiful and so poignant. And she's really carrying the eminence of the energy that can allow you to cultivate that within yourself as well. But the awareness that she's bringing, again, from this embodied state, it's something that you can't teach in theory and have it land. And so you guys are in really for, I'll call it a master class of what's available right now. And for me, she's one of the most qualified individuals because of her heart, her love, her intentionality, and again, her capacity to carry it. So again, it's going to be an amazing call. We are going to take a few Q&A questions, but we're going to get a lot into the energy and the information that's streaming through Zoe. So I want to recommend to all of you that you take this time for you and really allow yourself and gift yourself the time to be in receiving, as Zoe gives us her perspective and what she's been walking. And if you're new to Zoe, there are quite a few of you that have said that you're new to Beyond the Ordinary. Thank you and welcome for joining the community. Zoe's a divine oracle. She's a writer and speaker, a modern mystic here to provide powerful support for visionaries on the ascension path. She's a gifted energy expert, tapping into the unseen realms to bring through information that supports the integration process of mind, body, spirit as a multidimensional being. Her gift started at a young age, often communicating with the deceased, star beings, and spirit guides. And she had a powerful awakening in 2008 and has never looked back. And I'm so glad that you've only been looking forward. Zoe, welcome. Thank you again for being a staple on Beyond the Ordinary Show and providing so much to this beautiful platform that we've all created together.
A beautiful introduction. And it's been, 5 years on BTO, which is crazy.
5 years. Wow, that is crazy.
I know, I have extra wrinkles.
we've all been through a few things in the last 5 years. But I'd love it there's maybe some people on the call who perhaps don't understand what 0 points is. And if perhaps we can start with a perspective or your awareness around that and then how you're experiencing it, it'd be wonderful.
Okay. Yeah, I knew that you would probably start with that one. So my personal definition of 0 point, and you can look at it through the lens of quantum physics, you can look at it through the lens of spirituality, and you can look at it through the lens of what makes sense to you when it comes to going through a dissolving of the past identity, the spaciousness that's created from that dissolving, and then the newness that you get to come into. So generally what I find is when you've got to a point where you've exhausted all versions of your reality, of your identity of self, and you are in a spaciousness of full surrender, of full trust, of full inner knowing, that you literally come into a space of such stillness within the ego and the body and the mind and the expectations and the attachments and the control, that you're able to, it's almost like you vibrate at a very low energy, but then you start to kind of rebuild from a space of pure consciousness, pure heart, pure self-love, pure inspiration, where you're no longer governed or bound by the past version of yourself and the past traumas and the past experiences. You understand the journey that you've gone through, and it still shapes the version of who you are becoming, but you're not kind of shackled by it anymore. You're able to break free from those very, very deep-seated traumas and programs at a cellular level. And there's so much wisdom in our cells that when we go through these cleansing and purification processes of the mind, body, and spirit, we gain deeper and deeper access to points to our pure potential and our pure creative energy. So when we're stepping into this awareness of 0 point, really it's presence. It's the embodiment of presence. It's the dissolving of all ego identity. It's the dissolving of any expectations, control, attachment. It's the dissolving of any spiritual story, right? It's the dissolving of all and everything in one moment. And presence helps a person's consciousness to step into 0 point, and 0 point helps a person's consciousness to evolve out of the version that it was and into the version that it so desperately knows that it could be. And that's when all the kind of the playing fields of reality start to shift and change in vibrational harmony to what we're holding true within ourselves, which is stillness and presence and self-love and grounding and connection, whilst also being in the body and being truly here, not half here and half there, but really, really, really here, really showing up in this life, in this moment, in this breath, in this version of self. And as you know, John, you know my story very intimately, and just for the transparency of the viewer, for me personally, I've experienced like the last 9 months, this death and rebirth cycle of such waves of intensity that almost as I was catching up with what had just happened in the previous experience, there was another experience happening on top of it, until it got to the point where I literally felt like I was at 0 point, but it was through the complete collapsing of any version of myself. And it's like I went through this dark tunnel of the unknown to be able to witness the deepest fears and the deepest parts of myself that perhaps before I was never willing to face, which is those shadow parts, which is that expectation, which is that control. And we have to be willing to go all in to those experiences, even though the ego is screaming like, let me out of it. I don't want to do this anymore. Can I just sit on a beach and drink pina coladas? Can I just, I don't want it. I don't want this. I didn't ask for this, right? It starts to kind of play the victim story. But if we can just trust in those moments of dissolving of that identity, there is such wisdom and grace that can come through. But we have to be willing to kind of almost be stripped down to the bare nothingness, which also aligns to 0 point. Right? Who are we without our identity, our story, our past, our future, our expectations, our controls, our attachments? Who are we even without these spiritual stories as well that we have, you know, of the ascension and descension and the collective evolution of the planet and the divide and the war and all this stuff? There's so much noise in the world when it also comes to what it means to have a spiritual journey, and to even wipe that clean and what's left, and wipe that clean and what's left, and wipe that clean and what's left, and go in such intricate layers at a cellular, atomic, and subatomic level. And then rebuilding self from a perspective of presence, of harmony, of embodiment, of grounding. And I'm still moving in it. And I feel like I'm forever going to be going through various versions of this cycle. But it did lead to just such a deeper trust of myself and a deeper knowing of this journey. And the identity that I thought was kind of in best support of my journey on this planet had to die. She had to die. And almost most of the things that was connected to that version had to die as well, which led to pretty much the closing and clearing of most of the things that I have run online. Everything got wiped, everything got cleaned down to 0 point. So I hope that gives it a bit more of a broad perspective.
It definitely gives a broad perspective. And I love that you're talking about what you're building and the awareness of that. And from that 0 point, for me, it becomes choice. And it becomes, for me, it's this, we reach this place of spiritual maturity, if you will. And again, wiping off spirituality, I get that, but we're still evolving consciously, all of us, and we're all growing spiritually. And from that, because we're connected to everything. And so from that, it becomes being aware of the choices in the present moment and how those direct, and being willing to be in a fearful place, but also being willing to be in a place of receiving in a way that you never could before. And both of those are simultaneously things that can be very intimidating to the old structures because of the levels and semblance of control and manipulation that we work so hard to maintain that sense of safety or belonging or whatever it was that we were looking for at the time.
I mean, that really is it. There's no sense of human ego safety involved in the collapsing of our identity. And it's the most frightening and scary thing to let go of who we thought we were. Mm-hmm. Right? And to be really shown that this is a version of you, but you know deep inside that there's something that has just been calling out your name to try something new, to try something different. And so we have to break the pattern, we have to break the habit, and we have to be willing to let go and dissolve that version of ourselves. Yeah. Right. And even if I were to look back on 12 years ago and 6 years ago and 4 years ago and 2 years ago and a year ago and a week ago and a day ago, we're always being invited to shift into who we truly want to be experiencing ourselves as in this physical reality. And it comes with slowing down, and it comes with presence. And I feel personally, for me, one of my biggest shifts was it's almost like my nervous system has been in fight or flight since I was young, mostly flight, which resulted in not chaos in my reality, but accidents and almost kind of never quite really truly landing into the experience before planning the next thing. And, it's great to have that amount of ambition and energy, but there's also a lot to be. Triple slow motion is my word of 2022. Like everything is triple slow motion. Whenever I find I'm rushing, it's like, hang on a minute, I'm not being present. When the mind is out over there, it's like, hang on, bring it back to presence. What is wanting to come through? Because we miss so much of the signals that our body is communicating to us. And we miss so much of the signals that our energetic reality is signaling to us when we're not present. And there is so much distrust and disharmony and disconnection that I see people having when it comes to trusting their intuition and trusting their path and listening to their knowing and receiving clear messages, go left, and trusting that left. I mean, I think you and me had this experience recently where you had such a knowing to go this way and I wasn't present with you. I was like, no, let's go this way. You're like, no, I really want to go this way. And we trusted that. And then that opened up into the reasons why you needed to go that way. And life is always signaling and communicating and mirroring back to us. And we just have to slow down long enough to listen. And it cuts out half of the overactive imagination and the thinking mind. And it also softens the fear. And it also helps us to deeply connect with the experience of our journey. And I have this with my clients. I have a practice of, imagine that you are an alien and you just incarnated physically into this body, and suddenly everything around you is new. So every sense, every touch, every taste, every sound that you experience, it's like you're experiencing it for the first time. What does water feel like when you're having a shower? What do those rain droplets feel like moving through your body? What does it feel like when you taste chocolate for the first time? What does it feel like to eat? The connection of eating, like it's mindfulness, but it's really slowing down so much to appreciate the intricate moment of the experience that we're actually having in a physical body and a physical reality. Most people want to escape that because they don't want to be in their body, right? They want to go home. They've been sold this fictional reality that, they're such and such from a previous life and such from this planet, and they want to go home. And I'm like, I'm talking to the human. What does the human want right now? Human needs love. Human needs shelter. Human needs to be taken care of. And also integrate that you are a high priestess, or that you're Ashtar command crew, or all of it. We get to experience that multidimensionally, but we need to ground into the human Otherwise, what are we doing?
And grounding has been a big topic that's been coming up personally for me lately, even more so. And so as we attune, as we create, as we choose our reality from that 0 point place, and we become aware of where the distortions are away from 0 points, because you start feeling them physically more and more so. It's your body and your mind attunes in a way that there's just no denying that you've veered off the path a little bit of into distortion rather than into expansion. And so it's fascinating how it comes to be. How are you guiding your clients, as perhaps there's the waviness of the distorted field and into the 0 point, into the expansion? And also, where are you noticing that the people that you're working with are in this particular phase, I'll call it, of what's becoming available as we become more energetically attuned to the possibility of staying in that 0 point longer than we used to before? Because I think we've been able to glimpse it and hold it and kind of create, but I feel like our body has an attuned capacity now for various reasons to hold that space for longer periods of time than we ever have before.
Yeah, it's a lot to do with the nervous system, and it's a lot to do with the regulation of the nervous system and how much light it can hold at any one point, right? And so when we're really connected to our body, we're moving in triple slow motion, we're grounded, that relaxes the nervous system so that it can receive it more light, more frequency. So there's not such a radical disconnect between almost like the ascended light body and the human body. There's an integration that happens so that the body isn't reacting in such a kind of visceral way where it doesn't know how to cope with it, right? And that's what happens with a lot of people on the planet, is they receive so much light too quickly without the integration, right? And so then there's that disconnect. So as we're learning to really work with the nervous system and with the frequencies of light that are being activated within us at a cellular level, we are able to slow down enough to understand that we are so deeply connected. Thank you. So what's also wanting to be shared is, when you truly trust in yourself as creator, you only need to ask for something once. And when you're in the energy of that presence, of that pure, pristine energy within yourself, and your heart is open and you're grounded, you only need to ask for something once. And if it's truly in your soul's desire to experience that in a physical reality, you do not need to hold on to that. You do not need to keep manifesting it. You don't need to keep doing all the things that we're taught to do. You just need to ask for it once and lean back and know that it will show up for you. That's it, right? And so that's that softening and slowing everything down so that we can also, thank you, let go of control of trying to manifest, right? Of trying to control the manifestation process of reality. I'm almost a blank slate right now. I'm almost in, I don't need to try and figure out my life. I don't need to sit there and manifest certain things. There's desires that I feel into when I'm in the energy. I kind of order it like I'm ordering something at a restaurant, and I'm just releasing and letting it go and leaning back. But there is so much that's available to us, thank you, when we let go of even controlling what we're trying to manifest and what we're trying to call in. Because generally what we call in is from a space of contraction of our human mind, of our ego mind, of our needs, of our wants, of our fears, of our expectations. When we actually let all of that go, the truth of what wants to come in for us can start filling back in. We start filling back in with who we are as light. And that's when things start to collapse and fold into itself and happen at rapid acceleration. And I've experienced this multiple infinite times over the last 10 years. So I know it works, right? I've tried and tested this theory of, okay, so you mean I just let go of that thing, and actually what is in alignment for me? Take a breath, and then the universe responds to the breath of presence that we're taking in this moment, in this physical incarnation. And what is for us will show up that we didn't even know what that was. And these last few weeks for me, I've pretty much received the entire download for the next book. I've been waiting 3 years because I've been trying to control it. I've been trying to hold on to it. I've had an expectation to it. I've had an attachment to it. As soon as I let it go, it came in. Oh, that's what I meant to write about. That makes so much sense now. I would have never have imagined that that's what I meant to write about, but that's what dropped into the space. So it starts to get really fun, but we have to be willing to go through those journeys where it is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to release the identity of the ego. That's the unfun bit. But if we can love ourselves through that, we can love ourselves through anything.
Yeah.
And the transformation that comes from that is just expansive and explosive.
Well, you start living a place that's not only just fun, but you really start living in a place of awe and wonder, because it's truly a place of miracles, if you will. Because again, it's unexpected, the way it comes through, the way that it's inspired. It's a whole new way of living that really breaks the shackles of the way that we've imprisoned ourselves again into mechanisms of safety and control and manipulation. And we complain, you know, a lot of people in the community as well, the system's trying to control us, or the government's trying to this, or they're trying to oppress us here, they're trying to take something away from us. And for me, that's just a fractal of what we're doing to ourselves. It just is. So if you find yourself speaking in any kind of language in that way, hold on a second, where am I the perpetrator for myself in those comments? And what you're speaking about is an emancipation from that within yourself. And when you birth it from there, there's no way anything can put you in shackles, because you really set the stage, the standards for your self-sovereignty and your self-love and self-awareness. And you become aware that you can create anything from that place. It's so beautiful. Yeah, I'm so touched by what you're carrying and the strength in which you're carrying it with. It's really beautiful. What would you tell the people who can't figure out, or perhaps they've never glimpsed that 0 point? It's like, what's something that they can work on or they can do other than just having a conversation there, which is beautiful because it puts us in an embodied environment that we can emulate and we can all rise up to. But what if that chaos is running so much that it's someone can't even fathom getting to that place where even the willingness, the thought of a willingness to surrender shows up, and that they don't have to be on their knees crying for it, begging because they've hit rock bottom?
I mean, I would say, again, it's something that can't be controlled and that we can't have an awareness of. I have to share this. There's a cloud outside and it's like a native woman and she's blowing sacred tobacco out into the sky. That is so beautiful. Let me see if I can take a picture of this and then I can upload it to you all later. Oh my gosh, that's so powerful. I can really feel the magic. Oh, thank you so much for being here. My mind was like, what is the question again? I would say the best thing to do is just let go of expectations of trying to get to 0 point. The point of 0 point is that you're not trying to get to it. You arrive at a place in stillness when you trust yourself that you are on the journey to experience yourself as that, as one, as presence, as grounding, right? And it allows you the spaciousness to start letting things go, figuring things out, moving through things, right? We're always a work in progress. The journey is not necessarily to get to the destination. It's to allow the spaciousness in the middle of what do I want to work on right now? And just pick a direction, whether it's dealing with the clutter in your home, whether it's working through relationships, whether it's working through the family dynamics, whether it's working through the relationship with your money, whether it's working through the relationship with yourself, whether it's carving out time, a little bit of space each day to just tune into yourself, to breathe, to meditate, to not do any of the doing of what you need to do to create space to get to the point of space. Be in the space. And naturally, who you are becoming will start to be activated within you at a cellular level, and who you were will naturally start to dissolve. So you don't have to try and control or force that process to happen. That naturally occurs as you almost, it's like, thank you, I'm ready for more. What's next? I'm ready. Hit me. I'm ready. Let's go into another cycle. Let's do it. Like, let's move through this. And your higher self knows exactly the amount of intensity of energy that you can handle at any one point, right? It knows that. And so if you need to slow it down, hey, hold on a minute. Can we just slow this down? I'm just trying to catch up with this and you're throwing all this at me. Slow it down. Your higher self's like, oh, sure. Okay. You know, so you're in control by not being in control, right? You're in control by letting it go and allowing the natural rhythm and cycle to take place without feeling that you are trying to get to a certain place based on your version of somebody else's path that you've read about online or you've heard in a radio show. Is your individual journey. I didn't even recognize what was happening those last 9 months until I was almost nearly at the end. And then it came in very strongly. I'm like, oh, that's what all this is. It's almost like I wasn't even registering the level of intensity of shifts that were taking place. And it's almost like, thank you, my team and my higher self was like, well, you're already in this space. We're just going to bring everything else up for you at the same time, but it will be more intense, but less kind of space you'll be in it. So I was like, okay, let's do it that way as opposed to 10 years, right? But you can collapse and fold and bend in time as much as you need to move through your experiences of transformation. And when you get to a space of transformation and grounding, you kind of know that you're ready for more because you just feel so much better. You have so much more energy. You feel so much more connected to yourself. You feel so much more love. You feel so much lighter, and people feel it. They're like, wow, who is this person?
Mm-hmm.
Who is this? And you're just being you. You don't even need to talk. They feel it.
Yeah, it's profound. It's profound what comes through. And through the shifts and what's coming through and the just being, again, I want to bring it back that it's an individual choice. We keep choosing over and over to be in this space of surrender, to be in the holding or embracing that part of us with compassion that wants the answer to the problem or to the whatever that is now, and breathing into it. We've got this. And really that's part of the conversation, because we're not getting rid of anything that's running in us. It's all maturing with us. And it is a maturation process that we're all going through. And to get to that place that you can be so present to allow a co-creation energy to come in to demonstrate to you what's available to you that you probably couldn't ever see before. Again, the world opens up to sights and experiences that that maybe we dreamed were available, that maybe we had hoped we'd have access to, that maybe one day we'd be able to achieve, but it starts happening right away. There's no mistake.
It's almost like your senses are sharpened, like smell becomes that much more intense, and like the colors, it's almost like you're looking at reality with an Instagram filter. It's like everything looks sharper and more clearer and more cleaner, right? And like taste and sense, like that's what I found particularly in the last few weeks, is I'm feeling a little bit more kind of grounded in this new level, this new version. It's like it's like I'm in love with life again. I'm so appreciative of the experience that I get to have here physically in this space. And I still have that deep connection to spirit and to all of the different interdimensional realms, but it's like it's within me, it's through me. I'm not needing to quite have these quite esoteric out of body experiences like I used to. It's like I'm experiencing it in the here and now, and I'm thinking things and then it's instantly manifesting, or I'll think about someone and then they'll reach out to me, or I know what they're going to ask me next, and I almost answer their question before they've asked me. And your connection to you as a spirit strengthens, and your gifts are amplified, and they're just there. They're just downloaded. And one thing I've found is it's almost like less and less need, especially in my work, to be working with light language or working with tones, or I'm finding that the pure pleasure of just using the voice as the journey, as the guided journey, as the frequency of the voice, and it feels so calming on my nervous system. And I feel before there was a need for that version to get to here, and now I'm feeling more grounded here. There's just so much more pleasure in the presence of my experience, if that makes sense. It's like I've landed.
It makes a lot of sense. I'd love it if maybe in a little while, or perhaps even now, you take us through a process of really to help that nervous system to become available to other information. It's to let it ease and swim in calm waters, if you will, rather than in all that, because it really is. That's part of the requirement to get into this place of 0 point. And sometimes it can happen simultaneously. Sometimes you can be so shaken that it all collapses all at once, and you get to that place of 0 point because there's nowhere else to go. But you don't have to get to that place. And it doesn't have to be this big cataclysmic, I can't even think of the word right now.
Don't even make me try.
Blah, blah, blah. It doesn't even show up. Big catastrophe, we'll just call it that right now. Cataclysmic event. Thank you, Louise. It came out of my mouth as you typed it, Louise. So we're in sync. I love it. But again, there's things that we can do to facilitate it without having these earth-shaking things happen, without having to be shaking so hard that we have to lay on the couch for a couple of months just to recover from it. And some people like you are going through an initiation that's very profound, and you're here, and I believe that that's happening, and you're choosing to do so quickly because you're guiding others through what's becoming available, without a doubt. But it doesn't have to be that way for everybody. So are you open to guiding a process now?
Absolutely. You're feeling it, right?
I am, yeah.
I brought like everyone, everything, all space, all time, all the beings in before the interview. So they're just kind of, someone I think was asking about who am I saying thank you to? I'm just saying thank you to spirit, my higher self. So I get little rabbit whispers in the ear.
Nice.
Okay, so just when you are all ready, just close your eyes and just take some cleansing breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. And just releasing any sounds, sighs, ahs. And then just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And become aware of your breath as you're breathing in and you're breathing out. And becoming aware of any thoughts that may want to pop up into your mind. Give it a moment of awareness, and then bring the awareness back to your breath. I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. Become aware of your body, the physical part of you. And then through your breath, become aware of the non-physical part of you, the energetic, the vibration that you are carrying. And in your mind's eye, imagining the intricate network of your nervous system, almost like as a network of golden light that's operating up and down from your mind down the spine and into every part of your being that allows for the movement, the expression of you. So in your mind's eye, just imagine this beautiful golden network. And then extending your nervous system down through your root and all the way down into the earth. And then grow it all the way into the crystalline core of Gaia. Almost allowing the physical sensation of gravity to bring you present, bring you into your body and bringing you deep into the nourishment and richness of the earth. Just feeling your nervous system opening up and grounding, being receptive to all of the light, all of the information that is here, ready for you now. So in your mind's eye, imagine that you're bringing up vital life force, energy, information from the center of the earth through your nervous system, all the way up into your root, all the way up through your spine, and growing outwards into every single part of your being. And breathe, imagining yourself expanding now, expanding your awareness of self beyond your breath, beyond your beingness, beyond your nervous system, all the way around, opening back up to the true vibrational expansion of you. Feeling yourself as light, feeling yourself as energy, feeling yourself as one, feeling yourself as space, expanding yourself into space, using the voice as your guiding and activating tool as you slow everything down, slowing down your breath, slowing down the awareness of you as you're expanding into space, the spaciousness connecting back to infinite divine intelligence, emotional wisdom of all that is here ready for you now. And the mind just wants to contract, use your breath to expand even greater, even further than you think you can, expanding beyond all of what you've known, opening back up, using your breath as your guiding and activating tool. And in this place of expansion, what is available to you now? What is wanting to be known to you? What is available in this moment? Being open and receptive to any messages, any feelings, any sensations, any knowings that come into your awareness now through your breath, through the stillness of this space, through the grounding of the I am presence. What is available? Holding in this space of expansion, receiving these messages, these gifts, these pearls of wisdom, be it a color, a shape, a sound, a knowing, a word. And bring this back now, all the way into your heart. Remembering yourself as one, as source, as expansion. Feeling the grounding and connection of your nervous system to the infinite intelligence that's waiting to be activated within you now. And all you need to do is come back to this moment, this point of stillness, of grounding, using your breath, using your words, affirming to you of who you know you are to be. A deep breath in. Deep breath out. Through the mouth. Good. Big breath in through the nose. Deep breath out through the mouth. One more. Deep breath in through the nose. Deep breath out through the mouth. And just feeling the vibration or connection of who you are vibrating through every single cell. Almost moving your fingers and toes, becoming aware of the physical self, the beautiful body, your sacred vessel that is here to carry you into so much pleasure, so much fun, so much joy, so much beauty, so much love, so much creativity, so much abundance, so much receptivity. Giving yourselves a great big hug, feeling that beautiful warm connection to you, that you've landed into this space. Hello, welcome to the new you. And when you're ready, just slowly, gently fluttering your eyes open and coming into this space.
Beautiful, Zoe. Thank you for that. I can feel the shift. I can feel the shift within myself and on the callers. Y'all, did y'all feel that? You had to have. That's profound because I could feel again the whole conversation about 0 point. How do I get there? It's like, and while people are still breathing into it, that subconscious, that backdoor energy that's like, I'm going to keep you tethered in or anchored in. And it's just this, it's tools like this. It's putting ourselves in environments that support being in cohesion with that really, it's an aspect of self-love that supports that transformational aspect of the breaking down and the building up. The world's going through it. We're going through it. If we're going through it, the world's going through it. And that's just the beauty of the organic nature of how we're all organically evolving, and the access that we have to the benevolence that's guiding the change. And I truly believe it's benevolence that's doing that. This is wonderful. Thank you for doing that. Pieti and I feel like I've had a similar journey going into 0 point. Thank you for sharing your story. A pleasant journey, wasn't it? So beautiful. Paula says it was beautiful. So much. I'm going to take a couple of questions in a little bit, y'all. There's someone that wrote in that they took your master class. You just completed your master. Here it is, Louise. I just completed my mastermind with Zoe. And with this latest astrological conjunction, I'm feeling a total breakdown of my old identity and a massive release of stuff, emotions and beliefs. So it's just, again, the re-identification and having others who are either on a journey or have been through it to let you know that there is an anchoring point to it, that it's not all, you're going to be thrown out into the ethers and there's no coming back from it, which is one of the biggest fears, is so important. And that's why I'm excited in this phase of this evolution that so many of y'all are experiencing, again, with the astrology supporting it, with the solar flares supporting it. Again, so much is coming in that's really calling us forward through these gateways. That I'm really grateful that Zoe's put together the special offer that she has. April, if you don't mind, please put the link, and she already did, put the link in the chat box. So y'all find the chat at the bottom of your screen, maybe in the side of your screen for some of y'all, or the top. Click on the chat and click on the blue link that April just typed in, and it'll guide you to that special offer page. And Zoe, if you would lead everybody through what they're going to be immersed in as they participate with you in this workshop and in these 21 days of transformation.
I'm still like coming. Feels so good from that transmission. So the 21-day frequency accelerator, this is 4.0. So this will be the 4th round. And I received the download about a year and a half ago to start running these 2 or 3 times a year at particular points in time to bring a group of beings together that are ready to go all in on their frequency for 21 days. And what I share over the 21 days are specific tools, teachings, and practices that have deeply nourished and supported my own journey the last 12 years. And I found tried and tested methods of what seems to work together to create more grounding, a stronger spiritual foundation, and a real sense of movement of energy, that things are really starting to kind of move forward through the teachings and practices. So included in the 21 days, we will meet live for 3 transmission calls. The first one being on May the 11th, and then we are going to meet on May 20th and June 1st. And the times will be slightly different to cater to all time zones, so that you will at least get to join one of them live, if not all of them, if you might need to stay awake a little later or wake up a little bit earlier. You have full access to the replays and the program after we've run it as well. So you can start anytime. You don't have to start when we start. So if you're joining later, it's still just as powerful, just as potent, and will be incredible journey for you. So when I've kind of naturally opened up intentional spaces of time in my reality and set a firm commitment to myself to those things every day, I have witnessed so many shifts. And I quite often do this in 21 days because who can't focus on something for 3 weeks? And it's sometimes all we need to get that energy moving to really integrate and ground those desires and habits that we're wanting to be doing, for sometimes a lifetime. And the previous programs that I ran, the 21 days, 1, 2, and 3, I just had phenomenal results with all of the people joining, because it's like we were giving ourselves permission to ask what needs to change in my life in order for change to happen. How do I need to show up differently every day and set an intention to actually do the things that I know it takes to feel more grounded, to feel more connected to my purpose, to open up my intuition, to shift my frequency, to shift some of the patterns and the programmings and the distortions and the beliefs. So this program is very in depth, but it's also very easy to follow. It's specifically designed to not have overwhelm with it or to feel like you're going to be left behind. There's different lessons each day, but there's a theme that you follow every day that you really start to kind of find joy and fulfillment from the practices. And if you have the pleasure of joining us for the live round, you have access to a private Telegram group. So we meet as a community, we support each other, we celebrate our wins, we kind of share like what we have managed to do in that day and that week as part of the program. So there's a lot of support, there's a lot of community that we build. I'm very active in the Telegram group every day. And then obviously we get to join live for the sessions as well. So you can ask your questions and you can share like, hey, I'm really stuck on this thing. How can I move through this, right? And then we can come together as a community, and then you have that direct access to me as if you were getting a one-on-one session, but is in a group setting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is wonderful, the way that you've set it up. And again, the intimacy of being with you in this way. And I know when you create community, it's really close. You can feel the group dynamics and the cohesion of it. And it's powerful. Again, the synergy that comes together to facilitate the transformation and the expansion. It's something that being in a container that feels intelligent, that feels safe, that's meeting people in the highest of who they are at that time, rather than trying to fix something to raise it up. It's the way that you guide. And for me, that's really what makes you so attractive to so many people from our community, because you won't go down to try to do those other things. You really work from a very pristine energy of truly what's available, and you help them to see it. Now, if things arise, well, of course, but you hold that space of just what is and the truth in which you see it, which that by itself shifts someone's energy immediately, and they could see themselves clearer than they could before. And from there, the growth becomes exponential, because you're not having to deal again with those anchors in those old foundations anymore. This is a fantastic course, y'all, to get Zoe in this way. And Zoe, you're not doing private sessions anymore, very limited anyway that I'm aware of.
Yeah, not right now.
Yeah, so to have Zoe in this capacity, in this group, in a 21-day, again, a habit forming container, 21 days, it's powerful. It's $147. There's a 2-payment option, y'all. And I highly recommend anything that Zoe's working on and that you participate in. So I hope that you do take advantage of it. And Zoe, with that, I want to open up to some Q&A if you're up for that.
Yeah, please.
Okay. I wanted to start with, well, Sarah, you wrote about this, but let's go ahead and get you to unmute yourself then.
Hi. Zoe, I want to thank you for one thing. I was driving out on the coast on my way to perform a wedding months ago when Elizabeth Wood was on and you were hosting. And you called on me. And I'm so grateful because she and I have become great friends. And I really feel like it started on that day. So here's my question. I feel like someone who had just written in the virtual intensive outpatient program to just been in a waiting room, worked through a whole lot of trauma and, all that stuff. And I just felt like I'm in the waiting room forever. Like it's, been 10 years of this. And Elizabeth did keep saying, just wait, and all this stuff, these healings and everything else you're getting that you feel like you need so much. You don't really need them. But I really felt like I needed them. And I worked with somebody on the 12th, which turns out to be this pagan holiday of Beltane. As a rabbi, I'm not as familiar as I should be with pagan time markers and transitions, but something about between solstice and equinox. And in talking to this person who's also been on John's show, she said, well, it's like you've got this really thick coat on of the trauma of this lifetime and past lives. And you're too afraid to get out there and do your work, to shine your light. I've been doing all kinds of counseling, but it's all fairly low key, spontaneous, and people say it really helps, but I don't get paid for it.
So where's
So my
this
question,
leading? Yeah, where's this leading to, Sarah?
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I said, yeah, what's your question? Like,
So the
what's the
question is, with this as a background, do you see anything else that can help me clear?
I've got it. I got the question.
Thank you.
That's okay, because they're like, when you say waiting room, I literally do put you like in this waiting room. Do you remember the film Beetlejuice? Did you ever watch that?
I do.
When they were like in the kind of like the halfway world, and the guy sat next to it's like a huge waiting room, and he's got to take a ticket, and it's like 1,456,000 or something, and the guy next to him is like really old, and he was like 5 when he started waiting. That's the image they give me for you. So they're doing that to kind of bring some comedy to it. They're also asking, what are you waiting for? There's not a sense of you're waiting for anything. You just don't even know what you want. You don't even know what you want for you in your life, in your human experience. That is the question to kind of get you out of the sense that you've been waiting. You haven't been waiting for anything. You've been experiencing a lot of things, but somewhere along the way, you fell out of love with life. You fell out of love with the opportunities that were available to you. And there's a sense of kind of, it's not so much fear, It's less that, thank you, it's less about fear. It's more about not really even knowing what you want. So my question to you is, what do you want? What do you want for yourself? What like sparks joy? What's gonna, there we go, there's a smile. So there is something there. What do you want? That's my question to you.
Well, it's interesting because I have tried to visualize this in lots of detail. I have a book that I've written that I haven't published yet for various reasons, and I want to be teaching. I bring through a lot of stuff, and as I say, I do a lot of counseling. But I don't want to. I don't want to play it small anymore. I want to play on a larger stage, which I did before this trauma and everything fell apart 10 years ago. So I've been waiting to be on a larger stage, perhaps through the book, perhaps.
Okay, so there's the first block. Okay, the first block is the ego has this expectation that if it's not big, it's not going to do it at all. Right. So there's the disconnect between you actually going out there and sharing your passion and being passionate with the world. If you get to teach and impact one person's life, that's worth you getting out of the waiting room. Don't worry about the thousands of people that you think you need to go work with. Start with one, and that be enough. Know that you're enough and making a difference by the shifts and changes, thank you, that you've made in your life, and also the one person that's waiting to receive you. And then you work with that other person and the next person and the next person. So this, I'm going to share, because this is a really good example for you. And but there's a big kind of ego illusion story that is created that, oh, I want to be big, you know, I want to step out in a big way and I want to be in a big stage. And that actually cripples the potential of actually going out and starting, writing that first page of that book or helping that first person. And from that, you are naturally playing it big. You're naturally playing in your expanded self. Thank you, because you are in alignment with your joy and what sparks passion in your life. And that is the rocket that you're looking for to get up and out of that waiting room. So let go of the illusion, let go of the ego story of needing to play it big. And this is for everyone listening to this, because this will stop and cripple you so deeply. You're already doing it. You're already out of the waiting room. I think just the ego perhaps had looked at it in a different way. So when you give yourself permission to go do what you naturally want to go do here, all of that starts to dissolve and it starts to melt away. Does this make sense?
It does, but for years, I've been doing exactly what you're talking about. I counsel one-on-one. It's very much appreciated. I almost never get paid for it.
For sure, but without the intention, right? Because in the back of your mind, it's not enough. I'm not good enough. This isn't big enough.
Maybe.
Right?
I do know that there was some fear and trauma there, but it's not the first page of the book. The book is written and edited. It's a matter of my getting out there to publish it. So I was just wondering if on the 12th something had gotten cleared away and if there was a next step.
Your next step is to align with your joy, and your next step is to know that you are already in a big way in this reality, because you're here. You're in your physical incarnation. Do you know how incredibly intricately detailed it was to have your soul incarnate into your human body? Hello, you're a freaking miracle, girl. Stop living like it. You're a miracle. Do you know that? Do you know how beautiful you are?
I do.
Good. So get out of the waiting room and know that you're already doing it. Congratulations on writing your book. What's the next step? Any steps that you don't know how to do, ask for support. I don't know how to do this. Bring it down. Bring in the information. Bring me the person. Bring me the place. Bring me the things. Bring me the finances. Thank you very much. Bring it in.
I've been doing it. I'll keep doing it, and the time will come.
Well, and that's the key right there. And I believe because a lot of times we ask for it to come in, and we're taught in spiritual community, oh, ask for it and it'll come. But then when there's an aspect of temperance and divine timing and trust and faith that through the 0 points we're stepping into in ways where time actually becomes timeless, where what we requested, we don't have an expectation of, but we're in relationship with, and it's through the intimacy of that relationship that gets to build. So for me, my mantra and what you're speaking about, Zoe, so beautifully, and Sarah, what you're carrying, because I can feel you carrying it also, Sarah. It's like, yeah, I've done everything, and when's it going to show up? And when's it going to happen? Because I've seen it. I've seen myself on TV for 10 years. I'm not suffering not being on TV though. I see it as plain as day. So do, you know, a couple of dozen other psychics and leaders that tell me you're gonna be on TV, you're gonna be on TV, you're gonna be, it's like wonderful. And at the beginning it was really exciting. It's like, when's it gonna happen? And then it's just, you know what? It'll happen if it happens. And I let go and I let God. And as I do that, I'm enjoying life so much more. There's a peacefulness that's running. There's witnessing miracles showing up in my life, like a last minute trip to Peru, right, Zoe? Mm-hmm. That Zoe invited me to, that I never would have planned, but there it was, and boom, and it shifted my life. And so to be in the magic of those and what Zoe's sharing with you here, it's, I would go back and listen with that awareness, like, oh, where can I surrender to being loved instead of the one that has to be loved?
That's a good one.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, okay. And allow that flow to go through you. And that's part of that breakdown in 0 point. With Zoe, and again, come back and listen to this call, but that's the whole basis of this call. I've been struggling, I've been doing, and it needs to be this, and it has to be this. And it's like, all right, I've got to chip away because that's not working.
Could you let go of all of that?
Right.
That's the point. Could you let go of all of that and actually quite enjoy the waiting room? Oh, look, there's some magazines I get to read. There's some funny person. Maybe you're meant to meet someone in the waiting room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I meet a lot of trees in my waiting room.
Sarah, thank you so much for coming on, for asking the question. That's a big one. And again, it's
thank you, John. Thank you, Zoe.
It's hard when we can see it, right? So it's like, it's right there. We can taste it. It's like, right there. We're about to take a bite out of it, a chunk. It's like, nah, not yet.
It's also a desire to serve in a way, because I know that my counsel has helped a lot of people in these current times. And, you know, sometimes you really do want to spread that around out of a need for service.
So what's stopping you from photocopying your book 100 times and giving it away for free? There you go. You've published a book.
It's on email. I send it.
It's all over. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
That's awesome. Sarah, thank you so much.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
It's funny, Zoe. I told you the story. Hans King, who was a staple on the show in the beginning, wrote a book, and he sent out to the publisher, and it was all set to go. And he called me. I'm nervous. I don't know what to do. It's like, I'm scared it's going to fail. It's like, hold on a second. Why did you write the book? To help people. And I promised my dad I'd write the book, and I wanted to serve. It's like, okay. Well, did you write the book? Did you fulfill your promise? Yes. Did you fulfill the promise to your guides? Yes. Is someone going to receive the book? Well, yeah. And I go, what's it your business if it's one person or a million people? That's out of your hands. That's in God's hands, in Source's hands. And anywhere where you try to be God and you try to be Source, perhaps you're preventing that one person that's supposed to read that book, and they'll shift their life from receiving it. So let go and let God. And he shifted and he relaxed, and it was, yeah, it was just beautiful. It was beautiful. I love this whole 0 point, the conversation about 0 point. I directed it down to the distortion a little bit because it's really the next level. Again, y'all have glimpsed it before. We've all been there in certain ways, but the embodiment of it and the shattering on such a profound level of what it takes to get there it's a big ask and something that we're all equipped for, but it's the next level of consciousness and how we're creating, and we're there now. And I'm grateful that we have leaders like Zoe that are speaking about her embodiment of it and then leading and holding hands across the way. So it's so beautiful. Zoe, I want to take a call from Joe. Joe, if you don't mind unmuting, that'd be wonderful. Hey, Joe, you're still muted, or you're frozen, one of the two.
Okay, now I got it.
There you are. Hi. It's good to see you.
I'm muted.
But you're choppy.
Okay, I'm probably going to have the video do this. I was
Yeah,
afraid of that.
Awesome. Yeah, turn off your video and let's see what comes up.
That usually does pretty well. I was expecting that to happen. How am I doing now?
You're choppy. Now I'm going to turn off your video so we can hear you.
Okay, I'll try. Thanks
Oh, I
for
can't
calling
hear
on
you.
me, number one.
Joe, you're breaking up on us. I'll tell you what, I'm going to take another caller here and then come back on and let's see if we can take your call. Alara, okay. Welcome to the call. It's great to see you.
Okay. Hi Zoe, and hi John. So beautiful. Hello, it's been a long time since we connected. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so long.
Yeah, I'm so appreciative of your conversation today, and also much love to you, John. I've been watching your show for a long time, so I really wanted to just acknowledge that. Zoe, so appreciative of your conversation today. It feels really, really needed. And in my last number of months, I think I've been going through something quite similar. What I wanted to maybe talk to was the concept of staying in the 0 point, or the experience of yourself in the 0 point, because where I'm struggling is that space is so aligned, and it seems to be this space where everything is alchemizing in front of me. And yet, whenever I go to move out of that space, it's almost like I move back into karma, or it's like a knee-jerk reaction to everything, that old repetition of what would come out of your mouth or what you would say. And I've become so sensitive to feeling that that's that old story, and it's an unawake sense. And then moving back, just holding that absolute centralization seems to be all that my being wants to do. But I don't know how to do life from that place.
So you don't know how to do life from the place of stillness? You don't know how to do life from the place of not being in that space?
Well, from that place of stillness, because that seems to be where everything wants to activate from and move forward from this place of, it seems like perfect alignment.
And so I think the recognition then is understanding and really identifying yourself when you're in that space, so that you can program your mind to remember, okay, this is the moment where I'm feeling very, very, very connected, very grounded, very still, very present, very in the moment. And then when you're having experiences that are outside of that known space, you can then program your mind to go, oh, hang on a minute. Where is my consciousness right now? How is my nervous system feeling? Because mostly it's to do with our nervous system. Like, how is our nervous system regulated? How are we interacting with the complete over extrasensory experiences of the reality, right? It is specifically designed to bombard the nervous system with overactive energy and information where we are not in alignment, where we're not in that stillness. So when you recognize yourself outside of the space that doesn't feel good to you, that doesn't feel comfortable, almost kind of letting go of like this ascension of like, okay, I always need to be in 0 point, otherwise my life's not going to work, or it's not going to like figure itself out, because that's just going to give you a headache, and that's going to give you expectations, attachments, and control. So let's just put that over there. Thank you. But just recognizing the moments of when you're feeling a little anxiety, when you're feeling a little ungrounded, when you're feeling overstimulated, when you're feeling the sense of like urgency or starting to rush, program your mind to remember, oh, wait, I know this is not how I like to do life. So for the 10 seconds it would take to have that awareness and come back into your breath is sometimes all that's needed to reset and re-establish yourself in that moment and move forward. And I am constantly doing this multiple times a day. And when I'm not, it's the case of I could be driving down the road and everything's fine, or I could be driving down the road and literally like a deer in headlights, like shoulders up like this, and feeling literally like a complete overwhelm of a traffic light or a police car or someone crossing the road. It would just feel so overstimulating for my nervous system. And so the theme of, for me, and you can try this as well, is triple slow motion. Every time I move to a new activity, whether it's I'm finishing the call with Beyond the Ordinary, what's the next activity? Okay, I'm going to go to the kitchen, not rush to the kitchen, I'm going to walk to the kitchen. So it's like slowing down and catching yourself, thank you, in the micro moments of your experience to drop in with yourself. Am I present? Am I grounded? Am I taking a breath? Or have I got overstimulated and then this sense of rushing, the sense of then having to move forward or do things quickly, right? Because we have this, we've been programmed to believe this sense of time, sense of urgency. It's got to be done yesterday, right? Constant pinging of information, emails, text messages, all of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I'm just I'm in that stage of noticing every step out, and it's finding the gentleness, or finding the ability to how to do what you're actually saying. But I think that might be individual to all of us, because it's like a micro, it's like every moment, oh wow, I just stepped out, oh there I am back. But it's having to monitor it that much, because I'm so aware now, and to not be in the alignment, it's very dense, or it just does not feel right.
Zoe,
Yeah.
don't you find the experience that you've had that also, where your body, mind, and spirit are starting to pick up, like they're working in unison, and there's just a period where we feel the rub so much more viscerally than we ever had before, and it's a phase because we're embodying it, right?
Yeah. So just have patience with yourself as you learn to navigate yourself back to yourself in the micro moments, right? And what's causing the pain in your neck, right? It's the expectations that you always have to be in that space of alignment. So let go of your neck for a minute. Bring your body up, right? Really, there we go, right? Because when we're doing that, it's like we're holding on to that tension, right? We're holding on to that kind of like, oh, cricking our neck and trying to walk through. So it's a practice, and your guides are sharing that you are so masterful and skillful at it. That's why it feels almost kind of so the opposite when you're not in that space. And thank you. So they just are sharing, practicing loving kindness when you notice that you've come out of that space of presence, and adjusting and bringing yourself back. And yeah, it is a practice, and yeah, it takes for us to slow down so much that is completely uncomfortable for the mind, because we've been so programmed to go, 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 right? You ever been to an airport? There's this feeling of anxiousness and anxiety that everyone holds at an airport. Everything has to be done quickly. Like you've got to put your stuff on the thing quickly, and you've got to get your passport quickly. And I have to go to an airport in triple slow motion. Otherwise, my nervous system is fried by the time I get on the plane. Right? And that's reality. We are so bombarded with overstimulation and information overload, and being pulled, our auric system and our nervous system has been pulled in so many different directions. It's like we got to be these like almost like Zen Buddhist monks, like breathing our way through reality. And it will annoy people so much because they're not used to being slow. They're not used to eating and putting their fork down and chewing and enjoying their food. They're not used to being present with someone and not even needing to talk right away. And that's what we are here to embody, is that spaciousness. And you do that so well. And the only thing I would share, what your guides are sharing, is soften when you feel like you're not in those spaces. And actually by softening, you will naturally come back into that space.
Thank you. That's what I needed, actually. Yeah. It is that softness. It's as you move in and out, use the softness, because then it dissolves back to itself anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you. Beautiful. Love to you both. Yeah.
So
Love to you as
see
well. Thank you for calling in. It's wonderful to see you. Everybody, the link to Zoe's offer is in the chat box again. And Zoe, how will the offer help in these types of situations that are coming up also? Because I all feel that it's all part of a similar expansion that's occurring, and the tightness that's happening in And our awareness of these questions that we're asking is a byproduct of the collapsing of the old field to expand into the new.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming together for a collective intention that for 21 days, we're going to put all of our focus and all of our energy into who we desire to become, which is a more grounded, more present, softer version of ourselves, so that we can be more in connection with our intuition. We can feel more connected to the earth. We can feel more connected to information that's wanting to come in to support us moving forward. And so the teachings, tools, and techniques that are part of the program are specific things to help with the body, specific things to help with the nervous system, specific things to help with the future version, specific things to be letting go of the past. And we create a very sacred ceremonial space for 21 days where we make a commitment to ourselves and we make a commitment to each other to show up and really make the changes that we've wanted to, sometimes for a long time. Like I had people last year in the program, there's things they've been wanting to do for 10, 15 years, and they got it done within those 3 weeks. And I had other people that, you know, thought that they were going in one direction and just received so much information and clarity on their path that they were able to finally give themselves permission to let go of what they knew really was no longer aligned for them and not working, and be comfortable in the space as well. Like my zone of genius is the bridge between who you thought you were and who you don't know you're becoming yet. Like I'm in the middle, helping to support by creating strong spiritual foundations through the body, strong daily practices, strong connections to really becoming masters of your own truth, your own story, your own narrative, how you're navigating in this physical dimension. And of course, whatever else wants to come through. Like every journey of this program is different, dependent on the souls that we bring together. We're a collective organic consciousness. Particularly the theme, the overarching theme of this 21-day experience is come back to presence, come back to stillness, come back to 0 point, come back into softness, come back into alignment. Okay, you're wobbling, you're having an emotional flashback. Okay, where are you? Let's bring you back here. What's happening over there? Are you too far in the future? Let's bring you back here. What's happening over there? Are you too far in the past? Let's bring you back here. What is possible and potential in your life when you are truly present? Infinite potential, because you are all of who you are and all of who you will be and all of who you could be. And there is nothing in your way because you are aligned to true source desire that gets to run through you like a creative stream of unconditional love. That's what you're here to experience. Not all the stuff, the itty bitty things. Like we move through that to get to that point. So that's what we will be doing in that 21 days. Is it's more than just cleaning up your house or emptying your fridge. It's more than doing a meditation. It's the commitment to yourself to show up every day, to practice bringing yourself into presence. And that's the opportunity and invitation that I'm bringing you into. So if that resonates, then join us and see what's possible with no expectations. Just come and join. It's fun. It's beautiful.
Beautiful. All right, y'all. The link for the special offer is right there in the chat box, or you can open up a new browser window and type in beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Zoe27. And it'll take you to that same page. Okay, it's $147, 2 payment options. The first class starts May. When is it in May?
Oh my gosh, May 11th.
May 11th. May 11th, which is a powerful day astrologically also. So there's so much happening. Y'all take advantage of it. It's right there for you in the link in the chat box. Zoe, I want to take one more caller this evening. I've got Barbara here.
Yeah, I was feeling her.
Yeah, I knew you were feeling her also. Hi, Barbara.
It's like, pick Barbara, pick Barbara.
Hello. Oh my gosh. This is just amazing. I've been following this show for years. It's been so instrumental in my growth. I'm just so grateful. My question is, I'm in my 70s. I just sold my house of 40 years and I have a little apartment in town. I live in a real small town in the Upper Peninsula. And my goal for 2 years is actually to move to the state of Washington, where my family is, my grandkids, 2 of my kids, my brother, everyone's out there. And And I went out last year for 6 weeks looking for a place because they live north of Seattle and it's just too expensive. There was just no way and I came back. And this is interesting because this is really forcing me to really look at shifting my whole perspective on things because, my next trip was going to be going out there, renting a car and looking farther north in Washington. And I had a reading, and the reading was that I'm not supposed to be out there on the coast because there's an earthquake in the next 10 to 20 years and Seattle will be underwater. And so I should look east of the Cascades or Idaho, Montana, which really shook me. And then I thought, well, wait a minute. I know I'm safe, whatever. And anyway, I'm in the midst of just looking at everything differently. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is your question is, am I meant to move to Washington or am I meant to move around Montana? Is that right?
Am I meant to move Washington or is it east of the Cascades?
That's your question?
Yeah. But because of that earthquake and all that, I don't want to live in fear. She sent me a preparedness plan for my family because they live right on the coast.
Okay.
How to survive. And that's all. I don't know.
Oh, you had to ask a good question, didn't you, Barbara? Okay, let's get into this. Hang on, let me just supercharge my psychic powers. Okay, ready. Whew. That's a really good question. And okay, I'm going to ask my guides to step in for this one. When you're given a piece of information that's a future timeline that hasn't been experienced yet, how did that feel as a frequency in your body when you received that information? How did you feel?
So it was kind of a relief because I had resistance to living on the coastline. So it was a relief. I was shocked, but it was kind of a relief too.
Okay, thank you. So the conclusion doesn't necessarily have to be because it was maybe there will be an earthquake in the future. It was actually to identify the resistance was because perhaps deep down it wasn't what your soul truly craved, irrespective of this, if there's going to be an earthquake or not. Okay, so sometimes, thank you, because I'm really asking my guys to answer this for you. Sometimes we receive information to, thank you, to help uncover the truth of what we're really feeling for ourselves, the truth of our desire. Not necessarily that you have to hold on to this concept that there's going to be an earthquake in 10 to 20 years. I mean, we could share that about any place in the world that's on the tectonic plates. We probably know that there will be many earthquakes, but we can't live in fear of that. The question for you was to identify the resistance. So you felt the resistance, and now you know why you weren't finding a place. So then my next question to you is, where else feels good for you? Where feels exciting? Where feels inspiring? Where do you feel that you're going to be totally lit up? And maybe it's where you already are. So this question isn't for you to answer straight away, but just sit and ruminate with it for a few days. Thank you, because they don't want you, and this, perhaps this could have been done a slightly different way in your session, but it's not to then create the choice based on fear. Okay, so your guides don't want you to base your decisions on fear. So they almost want you to let go of this concept of an earthquake. Right, I'm not saying it will happen. Yeah. I'm not saying it won't happen. We don't need to get into that conversation here. But what we can get into for you is You've uncovered the resistance. You can now lean back from that potential. Now, well, no wonder that wasn't working out. Ruminate for a few days. Where does my soul and spirit feel most expanded and most alive? Because I tell you what, you can easily get on a plane and go see your family whenever you want. And perhaps there's a part of you that, thank you, felt like you should go and be closer to your family. But deep down, there's somewhere else where your soul is like, I really want to go and do this thing over here. This actually is flashing at me even greater. So that's the question to you. It might be pinging into your awareness now. If not, sit with it. Okay, that's my invitation to you. But at least we've kind of, thank you, uncoupled the slight muddleness that perhaps had been brought up in that experience, right? So now it's like, well, it was to get to that root. Okay.
Perfect. Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Oh, wonderful. And I turned my video off because I didn't want to distract what was coming through, because I felt how impactful it was going to be. I love it. And thank you for asking such a vulnerable question that comes from what would seem to be so far-fetched, perhaps, but so real simultaneously. So yeah, just following into the guidance, and come back and listen to the replay to receive even more of what Zoe was transmitting for you and sharing with you, and this love that has this wisdom for you to attune to as it's ready for you to receive it. So beautiful. Zoe,
you.
yeah, thank you so much. Zoe, this has been wonderful. And again, I love that we get to open up to Q&A in this way today, even though we planned on maybe not doing Q&A. But I just found it really indicative of demonstrating what you're embodying, how you're sharing with it, and also what people are going to receive as they go deeper with you in the special offer, which I think is just, again, you're embodying the shift in consciousness, and consciousness includes, again, all of us, our heart, our mind, our spirit, our etheric field, how we communicate above, and how we're grounding all that into our human experience, that's what we're here to do, as you said earlier on the call. So I'm so grateful for you for being brave to take this journey. And I know it seems almost like it's not a choice, but it is. And I recognize that in you. So thank you for what you do and the way that you do it, and the love and what you share it with. Always fantastic to have you here.
Thank you so much, John. And I feel like we literally had just started this conversation. Like, that's how fast it goes when you get into the energy transmissions. And what a true pleasure to be with everyone today. Incredible questions, and all of you joining in live and on the replay. I'm just sending you all so much love of this incredible Beyond the Ordinary community, which I feel such a deeply integrated part of. And thank you, John, for all that you create to provide this platform for us to come together in these intimate conversations and getting to share and be witness to our transformations. And it just grows every year and every decade. And here's to another 10 years of you on this show. So thank you
So much.
everyone.
Yeah, blessings.
So much
I love you. I love y'all. I look forward to seeing you in the next call. Have a great evening.